Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. May I first of all congratulate the Honourable Leader of the Opposition on his appointment to that position in this August House. I'm sure we can expect the same degree of diligence in the performance of his duty as he has shown in his career in various areas this far. Congratulations. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I had promised earlier on, in fact yesterday, while I briefly responded to the question from the Honourable member on the outcomes of the 8th Our Ocean Conference held in Panama. I promised to come back with a ministerial statement during the sitting, and after this was cleared in Cabinet yesterday, I've come to make this statement. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Our Ocean Conference, as the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is very much aware of and well informed in, was inaugurated in 2014 as the United States Department of State initiative to draw international attention to the serious threats facing the world's oceans and increase in global commitments to support marine conservation and enable sustainable development. The objective of the annual Our Ocean Conference is to increase partnerships and investments to create and enforce marine protected areas. We are familiar with this in Fiji and in the Pacific. Develop sustainable fisheries, very important for us also in the Pacific. Reduce marine pollution, unlock sustainable financing, and mitigate climate change-induced impacts on our oceans. Mr. Speaker, the conference comprised a series of interactive events attended by ocean champions and activists who strive to inspire the leaders, our leaders, national leaders, international leaders, entrepreneurs, scientists, and civil society to identify solutions and commit to actions that protect and conserve our oceans and its resources. Fiji first attended the OOC in 2022 as the Pacific region political high-level champion for ocean and as Pacific Islands Forum Fisheries Agency chair. At the 2022 OOC conference in Palau, Fiji demonstrated, and I congratulate my predecessors and the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Fiji demonstrated strong commitment to invest in supporting a sustainable blue economy, in part through the proposed issuance of a blue bond. Reflection on the 8th Ocean Conference. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Republic of Panama became the first Central American country to host the OOC with the theme, Our Ocean, Our Connection. Very true for us in the Pacific and those bordering the Pacific, as well as other oceans in the world. The government of Panama highlighted the importance of knowledge as a basis of our actions and policies to ensure protection of our ocean, responsible management of marine resources, and sustainable future economic growth. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm pleased to say Fiji was offered the opportunity to address the conference in the official plenary. Throughout that opportunity, as head of the delegation, I set the stage through a plea to the leaders present and millions watching around the globe that we must ramp up our efforts to protect our oceans, ocean ecosystems, and ocean-based livelihoods. My remarks focused on emphasizing the importance of immediate conservation actions and illustrated how Pacific Small Island Development States, PSIDs, like Fiji, are facing the brunt of the effects of climate change. Mr. Speaker, sir, I also underline some of the work that Fiji is doing to contribute to our achieving our ocean ambitions. We emphasized our work on locally managed marine areas networks. I thank the various chiefs in Laos and Vanuatu, Namaiviti, and New South who are already planning or working on their networks. Sustainable aquaculture and mariculture, green shipping, our 30 by 30 marine protected areas, MPAs target, and our renewable energy targets. Our delegation advocated the importance of working together with partners to co-finance crucial investments in the blue economy. Outcomes, as asked by the Honorable Member yesterday, in terms of outcomes of the Panama Conference, a total of 341 new commitments were made. These commitments represent over $20 billion in new investment in ocean conservation. The 8th OOC had 6 focus areas: sustainable fisheries, which received 52 new commitments; marine pollution plastics, which received 65 new commitments; marine protected areas, which received 52 new commitments; marine protected areas, MPAs, which received 52 new commitments; sustainable blue economies, which received 52 new commitments; climate change, which received 102 new commitments; and marine security, which received 38 new commitments. The funding derived from the following sources: $865 million was committed by the European Union, and $6 billion committed by the United States. Another commitment came from charitable organizations: Bloomberg Philanthropies, and Arcadia, which established a fund worth $51 million to help support indigenous peoples and local communities, NGOs and governments to improve and expand marine protection and to help nations protect 30% of oceans by 2030. So when we hear about the 2030 target, that's what it is. A goal of the coming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. An alliance, organization, foundation, and private donors also committed to a donation of $5 million to help developing countries join the High Sea Treaty that was being negotiated and eventually agreed upon. That was in New York at the same time as the Our Oceans Conference. A coalition of groups known as the Connect to Protect Eastern Tropical Pacific Coalition also announced a recent commitment of $118.5 million in private and public funds to strengthen marine protections for the Eastern Tropical Pacific Marine Corridor, an area encompassing more than 500,000 square kilometers, or 193,000 square miles, of highly productive and biodiverse waters of Ecuador, Colombia, Panama, and Costa Rica. Previous Our Oceans conferences had generated more than 1,800 commitments worth approximately $108 billion. For Fiji, we announced our agreement to work with the United States government in partnership to undertake a feasibility study to explore the potential of creating a green shipping corridor in the region, which can work to expand access to new fuels and technologies. Upon its completion, the two parties will initiate discussions on next steps among key stakeholders. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji also agreed to join the Green Shipping Challenge, which is an initiative that catalyzes actions from countries and non-state actors to advance the transition to a 1.5 aligned shipping sector. The United States is pursuing this technical cooperation under Green Shipping Corridor Initiation Project announced under the Green Shipping Challenge at COP27. Domestic shipping services are the lifeline for our citizens in outer islands to participate in the life of our nation and our economy. With over 300 islands and limited resources, aging ships in our government fleet are becoming increasingly expensive to government and, by extension, to taxpayers to service those areas. We thus intend to invest in new greener ships powered by renewable energy to ensure greater financial and environmental sustainability. In terms of our commitments, Mr. Speaker, sir, to create more marine protected areas, and I thank you and other brother chiefs, high chiefs of Fiji who have allowed this program to be carried out in the Ngoli areas and just beyond. Fiji has committed to designating 30% of our exclusive economic zone as maritime protected areas by 2030. However, it is critical to understand how these MPAs function and how they are to be enforced. Securing financing to aid the various stakeholders to manage these areas is crucial to the survival and conservation of our marine resources. Sustainable marine tourism. According to the COVID-19 appraisal report on oceans economy and the economic sector in Fiji by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, 90% of tourism is based in coastal areas, and these activities create valuable proceeds for conservation activities. The COVID-19 pandemic has shed light on the importance of working with our tourism sector to proactively protect our marine resources while ensuring these resources create benefits that can be equitably shared. Sustainable ocean planning. Fiji's national ocean policy is now being implemented and supported in part through our partnership with US-based White Foundation. I signed the MOU with the foundation earlier this year, just before I left for Panama. The challenges our oceans face is complex and requires stakeholders from different sectors to work together. Our government is working closely with like-minded governments from around the world to share best practices, knowledge, and identify opportunities to better ensure the sustainable management of our marine space. Mr. Speaker, sir, at the 8th OOC, which was the last one in Panama, Fiji reconfirmed our deep-sea mining moratorium during a bilateral meeting with the President of Palau. We also supported the United States Special Envoy on Climate Change, Secretary John Kerry, who called for green shipping corridors, in part through the articulation of Fiji's shipping emission reduction goals and our broader aims to green our domestic shipping sector. Mr. Speaker, sir, Fiji also met with the head of delegation for the Green Climate Fund, GCF. In this meeting, discussion focused on the GCF's United States $1.695 billion funding committed as part of 7 projects, including those at the national, regional, and global level where Fiji is a beneficiary, as well as ways to simplify the processes required to utilize those funds. We also spoke on ways to assist Pacific Small Island Development States, PSIDs, to develop robust proposed projects and project proposals. As mentioned, sir, our government is working towards not only accessing finance, but also to ensure that the financing arrangements we put in place are sustainable. In this regard, our Ministry of Finance, thanks to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister responsible, is working towards achieving accreditation with the GCF, the Green Climate Fund, and the Adaptation Fund, to be able to directly access project financing and develop larger-scale projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, our delegation held bilateral meetings with Minister of International Cooperation of Norway, and we spoke about enhancing Fiji's Ocean Pathway Partnership, OPP, which calls for urgent attention to the critical links between the ocean and climate change. We also discussed potential assistance for the Pacific Blue Shipping Partnership, PBSP, with Norway, given Norway is the world leader in green shipping. Panama's Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Erica Moni, we discussed what centered around the sharing of experiences related to the development of sustainable tourism, marine protected areas, and other areas of mutual interest. With the United Kingdom Secretary of State for the Environment, the Right Honourable Teresa Coffey, we had discussions focused on ocean protection and MPAs, commitments led by the UK, as well as discussions on the UK's contribution towards the second replenishment of GCF. And I noted that the UK also funded the feasibility study and our proposed blue bond issuance carried out by UNDP. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is incumbent upon us to champion ocean issues and the needs for our region. We must continue to press for change, not only for our benefit, but for our fellow PSIDs, and many of which were not able to make it to Panama due to various constraints. Mr. Speaker, sir, to develop these, I reiterate what I mentioned yesterday, about calling on the expertise and the experience of now the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, who had been our champion in this area over a few years, to assist with us as we continue our negotiations and attendances at the various conferences from here on. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you allow me, I will table a copy of this statement before table, sir, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Prime Minister.